Hello, fellow Devil Fruit users. I guess this is what I'm going to call my fan base, not to sound pretentious like I'm going to have a fan base. A lot of people don't even consider their followers or their subscribers fans, more like brothers or sisters, etc. Anyway, I am here to do my very first episode review of any kind. My only other video is, of course, of a chapter review, and this time it will be of Danganronpa, if I'm pronouncing it right. I can't imagine that I'm not. Episode 9, the animation, of course. I know there's a manga out, apparently, that I have not seen, don't plan to see, etc. Because I just want to keep up with the series. I just do. Okay, this is my first review of the series, and I like this episode. Not as much as I was hoping. I liked the previous episode and the one before that, not to mention a little better. But there were just some things I liked and didn't like about this episode. Now let me go ahead and talk about my initial analysis of Sakura's death, and that Asahina would have been the murderer. Now, I had three main suspects of who could have killed Sakura. First was Asahina. It was kind of obvious. Her emotional state would have just made it seem like, oh, she did it, blah blah. Like, okay, let me just calm down here. Apparently, why people thought it couldn't have been her, like the people in the cast, the series themselves, was because they were good friends. That's exactly why she would kill her. She would feel betrayed at her being the mole. The second person I thought it could be was Sakura, I can't remember her name, psycho crazy girl, genocider. Now, a lot of people thought to themselves, oh, well, it couldn't have been her because the person was a female instead of a male and wasn't strung up the way that, you know, she was supposed to have been, assuming it was, you know, genocider girl. Now, here's the problem I have with that. With that logic, the only way that the genocider half of that girl can kill is with that motive, with that particular style. That means she can never kill anybody because everyone's going to know it's instantly her. And if she does decide to say, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway, that ruins the suspense, which means she's probably not going to kill anybody, meaning she's going to make it through the end of the series, assuming no one kills her. And I can't imagine anyone successfully killing her successfully as a psychopath. Unless, of course, she decides to not do her particular style. Serial killers, most of them, I'm assuming, are not stupid. Insane, maybe. Not stupid. You can be completely batshit crazy, but still be smart. We've seen it happen. We've seen it happen plenty of times in various anime. So, she could have her own particular killing style, make that fact known, and kill in a way other than that, so that way she can't be, you know, she can't be pointed at. She can't. There's no scapegoat. She can't be pointed at. That was one consideration I had. And the third one was another idea, which was Hagakure, I think his name was, Yasuhiro, I believe was his first name, last name, who cares. And he wouldn't really have any real motives other than fear. Now, a lot of people decide to kill, like, I can't even remember her name, who was in the first episode. Blue-haired chick who was the pop star idol, who was Negi's love interest of sorts. Her reason for killing was she was afraid of being here and she wanted to leave. That's the only reason I could see Yasuhiro doing it, and we all know from the way he acts. He's cowardly and jumps and reacts to a lot. So why would this change? Because Sakura's a mole. The situation is more dire and has changed now, so that would increase the odds that we'd actually make an attempt at a murder. Now, I had also considered the possibility of suicide, because the door was closed. Turns out I was right. It wasn't my first guess, but I was right. I figured that was too obvious. I also considered Togami, but see, he was intelligent, assuming it was a murder, because it wasn't. It was a suicide. If it were a murder, it would be very intelligent for the closed room trick. That's actually a common case in various detective manga, stories, TV, etc. It's the closed room case. How did the killer kill the person and get out, etc. That's a clever thing that Togami would do, because let's face it, he decides to kill somebody, it's going to be in a clever way. We just know it is. But 2 bashes to the head, that seems too sloppy and too in the moment for that to be anything else. So, in the end, we find out what actually happened was that Sakura had poisoned herself by ingesting the poison and locking the door behind her. Now, Togami had the bottle of poison that was switched with protein and had consumed it, apparently it being protein, and gave it to Kirigiri, who found a shard of glass or something in that. Now, I only watched it once, and I wish my, what's the word? Not my deductive abilities. I wish my, I can't even think of the fucking word, but I wish I had noticed this better the first time around, so correct me if I'm wrong. But the way the events played out was that the glass had gotten into the protein shake bottle, which was implied to have been switched with poison, hence why the poison bottle had protein, was like that after they had entered the room to find Sakura. The way it was implied was that somebody, I believe Togami, had noticed that it was a suicide and had planted that bottle there in order to make it look as though she was murdered in a clever way from inside out. We all know that wasn't the case. We all know that Asahina didn't poison Sakura. I may have missed this. I could be wrong. I could be jumping to conclusions. I may have just had a bad translation. Maybe I'm just fucking stupid. But I believe that Sakura committed suicide. Togami found out. He analyzed the situation and realized, no shit, it's a suicide. And said, you know what, maybe I can trick them into thinking it's a murder. Maybe I can get them to put the blame on somebody, have them get executed, and then I win. I could have been wrong about that, but anyway, in the end, there was nobody to convict. There was no punishment of a person who killed themselves, but Monokuma did in fact decide to kill off Alter Ego, the computer. Smashed the bitch with the crane machine. Bam. Not going to be a big deal, really. It barely served any real purpose. I didn't care. They're going to find out the secrets of blah blah whatever anyway. So, I still have many questions, like the 16th student. At the end, when it shows the amount of people remaining, instead of 6, it goes up to 7 with a question mark. Who is the 16th student? What's the purpose of them? I don't really know too much about that, actually. Another question I have is, who was the person who attacked Negi in a couple episodes ago with the mask on? I think it's either Togami or the 16th student. That's all I have. The build can't really fit anybody else. That's all I have. So this was a decent episode. I was disappointed that it wasn't one particular killer. It was a suicide. I mean, it helped in a way because she basically killed herself to stop this fighting. She didn't want to be a part of it, and she ended up basically convincing the others not to fall into Monokuma's trap or the mastermind's trap, whoever, and continue killing people carelessly just to escape. That they should do what they originally thought of in the first episode and band together to find a way out. But the problem was that people just started killing each other and not actually thinking of other ways to escape. So, that's it. It was a decent episode. I thought it could have been better. I was hoping that someone had actually killed Sakura because, let's face it, it's far more interesting. Sakura committing suicide, especially since it was obvious the previous episode, yet we dropped it because it was so obvious, became a letdown. Regardless, this was still a good episode. I didn't like the murder, or I'm sorry, the suicide. I didn't like how it ended up, but I liked the things leading up to it, and I liked the little bits with Togami, and I liked the introduction or the further of the 16th student. So that's all. I'm going to watch Attack on Titan now, come up with a review for that. I hope you guys watched. I hope you guys will enjoy. Let me know anything about your theories down below. No spoilers, please. And adios.